dall'altra parte, di fronte a 50.000 vittime, la maggior parte donne e bambini, cosa fate? Andate a Tel Aviv, vi scattate le foto, stringete le mani a un criminale che è al governo, Netanyahu, responsabile di un sistematico.
To call for Hamas to allow the Red Cross in to see those hostages.
Absolutely, and also to Israel to allow the Red Cross to access Israeli prisons that have turned into mass murder of Palestinian prisoners and rape that has been very documented. And I have never seen a parliament except Israeli Knesset debating if raping Palestinian hostages is legitimate or not. So we want to see the Red Cross in Gaza, we want to see the Red Cross in Israeli prisons, and we want to see the ICC implementing their arrest warrant in Israel and everywhere else. Then the full force of the law must be applied. So how do you apply it? Why do you apply the law? You apply the law also, not only justice for the victims, but deterrence. You want to deter that mindset. And therefore sanctions, arms embargo, accountability. People are being so resilient of the idea that Israeli leaders should be held accountable. We hear Western leaders, politicians, saying that the ICC was not established for countries like the US or Britain or Israel. Seriously? So the ICC was established for the brown and the black and the yellow, not the white? This is a joke. This is the beginning of the end of the international system we built. That's why people of the South, people of the East, people everywhere are losing faith in that international system. That's why.
Well, then would you take the opportunity?
Gaza would not be able to happen without US arms. That's without a doubt. I would show the complicity that was indisputable. Fragments of US bombs next to massacres of mostly children, and that's the devastation. It's been overwhelmingly children.
When you tried to speak out, vocalize what you saw happening in Gaza, you feel like you were told to shut up.
Yes. I would show images of children that were starved to death. In one incident, I was basically berated, don't put that image in there. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see that the children are starving to death.
Most of the bombs come from America, most of the technology comes from America, and all of the fighter jets, all of Israel's fixed-wing fleet comes from America. Linkage between every single bomb that is dropped in Gaza and the US, because every single bomb that is dropped from an American-made plane.
These Israeli airstrikes, you could say, are made in America.
They are.
Children on top of rubble, playing with ammunition casings. The same casings used to prop up these tent cities. A close look reveals where they come from. Printed on the side, USA, DoD for Department of Defense.
I think the moment of October 7th was a moment of incredible worldwide solidarity with Israel. And had Israel leveraged that moment to press for a real, just and lasting peace, I think we would be in a very different place now, in which Israel would not be facing this increasing isolation around the world, and in which its hostages would be free.
Certainly when I went back in the August, we were at NASA for a month and I operated again every day, and most of my lists were just children. In an explosion, when a blast goes off, everything around you gets weaponized, so all the masonry and bits of car sort of get whipped up in that energy, and then they hit a civilian at quite a high velocity, and that will penetrate the skin, and it will either break the bone underneath or it will penetrate the chest or the abdomen. and that was the bulk of what we were seeing. But we also saw a lot of burns because of the heat of the blast. And then we saw bullet injuries. So we saw a lot of sniper injuries, but the children seemed to be specifically hit by quadcopters, which are drones that have firepower capability. And lots of them were sort of shot in the back, in the head, in the upper torso. They're operated by somebody that's watching what they're doing, so I assume that they are targeting.
غايب عني تصار القهر يسرق مني انكسر جناحي وانهد الظهر غايب عني.
No. And you try to prepare yourself for a visit like that. You talk to people who've been, but nothing can prepare you for that. I feared the worst, and it was much worse than I'd anticipated. And it's just wasteland for miles and miles and miles. You know, people are talking about a resumption of the conflict. There's nothing left to bomb there. My staff, who stayed all the way through this conflict, had to use GPS to find where their homes were because there were no landmarks to navigate by. You see people pulling bodies from the rubble. You see animals